Final project: Global Economy. We are going to discuss and analyze macroeconomics, youth, employment, macroeconomics policies, personal and corporate education, do and do not for employability, and government policies for employability. The purpose is to get the overview of the different aspects with key finding and suggestions. Finally, we'll provide the conclusion. Macroeconomics is a branch of economics dealing with the performance, structure, behavior, and decision-making of the whole economy. Basic macroeconomic concepts. Macroeconomists study aggregated indicators such as GDP, unemployment rates, and price indices to understand how the whole economy functions. Macroeconomists develop models that explain the relationship between such factors as national income, output, consumption, unemployment, inflation, savings, investment, international trade, and international finance. Macroeconomic policies. The governments make adjustments through policy changes. The success of these adjustments is necessary to maintain stability and continue growth. Defining youth. Countries vary in defining of youth and childhood, from as low as age 7 and ranging up to age 39. In general terms, youth can be defined as the stage in the life cycle before adult life begins, affected by factors such as the average age at which young people complete education, and initial training, and the average age at which they are expected to start playing adult roles in the community. Youth employment, potential and challenge. The youth employment challenge is the overall employment situation. In developing countries, it is maximizing the potential of young workers. In both developed and developing countries, a number of economic and social factors affect the transition into adult working life, including discrimination and social disadvantage, as well as cyclical and structural trends in the economy. Following are the key impact, challenges, and opportunities for social development. 1. Young people represent around 1/5 of the world's population, but half of the total unemployed global workforce. 2. Globalization and rapid technological development have given rise to increased labor mobility, bringing new employment opportunities as well as new uncertainties. 3. The Copenhagen Declaration and Programme of Action underline the centrality of youth employment to social development. 4. Recently, intergovernmental develop and implement strategies that would give young people a real chance to find decent and productive work. Challenges of youth employment for social development. It is critical for all countries to address the urgent challenges of youth employment that include: 1. Undertaking the creation of adequate, productive, and decent work for all young people. 2. Ensuring all young people have access to education and training and are given the opportunity. 3. Remove the obstacles young people face in the labor market. 4. Addressing the gender discrimination young face in the labor force. 5. Harnessing the forces of globalization and exploiting new technologies. Importance of youth employability. According to the ILO, International Labour Office, 160 million people in the world today are unemployed, and many more subsist on the margins of the economy or have jobs with inadequate for survival. Nearly 40% of those without work are young people. For growing numbers of young people, employment is precarious and may not provide an income sufficient to cover basic necessities. In both developing and developed countries, significant portions of the population live below nationally defined poverty lines. The costs of neglecting youth employment. Youth unemployment and underemployment impose a heavy cost. Prolonged unemployment in early life may permanently impair employability, earnings, and access to quality jobs. The benefits of investing in youth. Pro-youth employment strategies benefit everyone. Investment in youth is an investment in society. Decent work for young people has multiplier effects throughout the economy, boosting consumer demand and adding to tax revenue. Employability issues. Even with high rates of economic growth and employment expansion, high rates of youth unemployment may persist. That is the case if youth have not the capacity to benefit from economic growth and expansion of job opportunities because of educational or training deficits, lack of work experience, weak labor market information and/or services, or face discrimination inhibiting their integration into the labor market. Following are the key employability issues: temporary employment, quality of work, unemployment, regional diversity, regulatory environment, entrepreneurship and enterprise creation, Education. Macroeconomic policy initiatives. Macroeconomic policies for youth employment should be focused. For example, Slovenia started to emerge from the crisis of transition to a market economy as early as 1993. Countries that have implemented macroeconomic policy frameworks focusing on employment generation have expanded youth employment opportunities. Role of macroeconomic policies. In many countries, macroeconomic policies could play a more effective role in realizing the full potential of growth and job creation. Many developing countries are in a low-level stabilization trap that constrains the role of macro policy in stimulating demand. Even in developed countries, macroeconomic policies are often not consistent with a sufficiently strong commitment to growth and employment objectives. Again, macroeconomic policies can play a role in producing such outcomes by promoting the growth of sectors and economic activities that are employment-generating by their very nature. Enhancing employability. A solid formal education, as well as effective and relevant vocational training, labor market information and services and work experience are recognized as key factors in raising employability for successful insertion in the labor market. Enhancing youth employability. Active labor market policies and programs, ALMS, comprising a range of measures including labor market services, education and training for underemployed, and job creation initiatives such as those described in the previous section under micro-level initiatives. Key skills adopted for employability. Employability skills and personal values are the critical tools and traits necessary for success in the workplace. The recognition of possessing these sought-after skills and values is important, and equally important is knowing how to include them in cover letters, resumes, and answers to interview questions during the job search process. Traits and skills employees need to demonstrate at work are a positive attitude, motivation, energy, dependability, reliability, responsibility, dedication, hard work, good work ethics, honesty, integrity, morality, self-motivation/initiative, willingness to learn, adaptability, flexibility. What should youth avoid at all cost? Following must be avoided to be a successful employee: unreliability at work, negative behaviors and attitude, poor performance at work, abuse of alcohol and/or drugs, exhibit violent behaviors and/or rudeness, dishonesty, inappropriate dressing. Cooperative education programs for employability. Businesses and corporate sector should play their role for employability by building and providing the following. Here are the key cooperate role for employability. 1. Set up and provide school, community and agencies. 2. Counselor support. 3. Certified teachers or trainers. 4. Related classroom instruction. 5. Supervised on-the-job training. 6. Quality training sites. 7. Coordination of school and work-based learning. 8. Evaluation and feedback of students' work progress. 9. An advisory committee. 10. Involvement of parents/guardians. Employability skills includes but are not limited to 1. The job search. 2. Applying for a job. 3. Interviewing for a job. 4. Good work habits. 5. Getting along on the job. 6. Getting ahead. 7. Work ethics. 8. Personal finances. Findings. Key lessons. There are some important lessons that can be drawn for consideration by policymakers from the national responses to the factors affecting youth employment. These initiatives are adopting macroeconomic, structural and social policies and programs to promote broad-based growth. Countries are including short, medium and long-term actions. Evidence suggests that national initiatives targeting youth focus mainly on youth unemployment, rather than working conditions. Implementing macroeconomic policies targeting youth, sectorial planning. Develop legislation and regulations, short and long-term programs for employability, entrepreneurship for youth, government and origination collective support, develop labor market policies and programs, dual training programs at school and work. Discussion points. The Commission may wish to consider the following suggested discussion points. 1. What steps can be taken to ensure that employment creation? 2. What can be done to ensure that economic growth and macroeconomic policy to promote youth employment? 3. What is needed to ensure the benefits of globalization and better opportunities for youth employment? 4. How can education and training be improved to facilitate the school-to-work transition? 5. What can be done to improve interventions in the labor market to increase the employability of young people? 6. How can workers and employers and their respective organizations contribute to the implementation of youth employment policy? 7. What is the role of the private sector? 8. How can social dialogue be improved to ensure young people participate in the process of policy formulation and implementation? 9. What more can be done to ensure that youth employment policies are more socially inclusive and promote social integration? Role of the government for employability. The government has 5 priorities for action for supporting youth employment, working with businesses, local government, voluntary groups and local communities. 1. Raising attainment and ensuring that young people have the skills they need to compete in a global economy. 2. Helping young people supporting local partners to provide effective, coordinated services. 3. Encouraging employers in both the public and private sectors to help inspire young people. 4. Promoting personal responsibility by work pays, work benefits and search for work effectively. 5. Creating the wider conditions for balanced, sustainable growth. 5 simple strategies to support youth, a comprehensive plan that includes job training, access to education, and youth engagement will allow young Americans across all racial groups to share in the future prosperity of our country. 1. Invest in child care and early learning. 2. Promote high school graduation and improve access to higher education. 3. Develop an inclusive jobs creation and training plan for young workers. 4. Promote youth service. 5. Invest in stronger community systems. Integrated, 3-dimensional approach to promoting youth employment. References. Conclusion. Supporting youth employment is a key priority for government, both to ensure that the cyclical impact of the recent recession does not result in young people suffering from long-term scarring effects and to tackle the core structural barriers that lead to certain groups of young people being at risk from experiencing protracted periods of unemployment. There are 5 core areas where the government is planning to work with businesses, the voluntary sector, local authorities and communities in order to help support young people, promoting skills, encouraging more work experience, apprenticeship and internship opportunities, supporting the most vulnerable, providing the right financial and non-financial incentives, and restoring growth. Employability of youth is the future of the country's. All of its social, political, economic and financial functions are based on youth employability. What we have discussed is just a small glimpse. But in short, this starts with planning personal, business and government level, following by learning skills, right personalities, correct decisions with a continuous life cycle effort. Macroeconomics and government policies are the 2 key factors that decide the youth employability in the country. Failed to plan youth employability could cause social, economic and financial distress in the country.